Okay, hi guys, welcome to what is going to be an ongoing progress and ongoing project that I'm going to work on. It's simply just going to be me reviewing my trades, all of my trades. I'm currently paper trading with stocks to trade to develop and to learn more, to see where my strengths are and where my weaknesses are, and what I should focus on with my real money as time will come. Um, and something more that I need to explain is these arrows that I have drawn out is simply not the original data that stocks trade provide with paper trading, as it's automatically shown where your entries are with green arrow and where your exits are with a red arrow. But since the data is old, it's also lost, and I cannot find out a way to recover to see where my exact entries or exits were. But this is as near as it gets. And if you think I'm doing something sketchy, sure do. I don't mind. I just want to share my experience and see if both you and I can learn something from my mistakes, so that you hopefully won't make the same mistakes as I did. So I'm going to talk about a losing trade today. It's on CNET. It was on Tuesday, the 23rd. But first off, I'm going to talk about another trade that I think led to this idea that I had on the losing trade, and it was on LTBR. First off, I'm gonna give you a bit of background info. It was on the Monday of 22nd. It had a huge gap up on news, on pattern news, I think. Not really sure about that, but something in that matter. It showed significant strength in the morning. It had, as I said, a huge gap up, a big morning squeeze, and then got down and sort of formed a bottom. And this is where the idea of CNET comes from. And I'm gonna tell you why this is so unfortunate and even bad. But let's talk about this trade at first. So it first off kind of spiked up quite gradually during the pre-market, got a bit of a pullback and a consolidation, then a huge squeeze, and then another pullback, and then held a certain level of 255-ish. And what I saw and what made me think that I could try this setup again, or I think was way back in my head, was that a very good trader, Rowan Wolf, entered this trade at like 265 after this big pullback and as this bottom was tested. And as I saw this, I was like, yeah, that's a fantastic trade on the overall, because it's later in the day it pushed higher, it tracked higher, and then at one it got to its like high, but then it also gradually faded and just died. So it was a very nice trade of him, but this also made me think that I can do the same. So let's get into what's the biggest mistake that I made about this. As you saw, LTBR is a huge gapper, and the first potential, and also a multi-day breakout above this level, which I was anticipating to play at this stock, but that's another story. Anyhow, at least this is a big gap up. If you compare that to CNET, this is a potential first green day as I'm trying to play this. and it also had some news, and that was good. But eventually, I think it was I swore. I took the words too easy. I think it was a bit fluffy, and therefore also the gradual fade. It was on Bitcoin rumors, and as we've seen in this market, it's sometimes it works out perfectly, but the more frequent the news is, the less and less attraction it brings. It's just like, okay, one of those Bitcoin plays once again. It eventually crashed, so why should I even bother? That's like how I think the majority of the people are starting to think, as they've seen like 17 Bitcoin plays in a week. So, but this is trade. It had quite a similar approach or movement as LTBR had, but as I forgot was that these two are not the same pattern, and therefore I shouldn't treat them in the same way. And I think that's the biggest lesson from this mistake, is that treat the same patterns equally, and the patterns that differs, don't treat them like as near to equal, because they act and move differently. So anyhow, I saw the same kind of action where it formed somewhat a bottom, it got a bounce, then tested the bottom again, and I was like, oh, perfect, I'll buy. I think this is going to hold. And then eventually it did, as LTBR did later in the day. It just gradually faded and just gradually died. The only good thing, or the one thing that I did good, was that I respected my risk and I did cut losses quickly. But the biggest lesson from this trade is to trade, is to see the same patterns equally, and if the patterns differ, then so will their behavior do. And that's also where I think take one trade at a time comes from, because even though if CNET and LTBR had been the same exact pattern, they have different, they're not going to play out exactly the same. It's like a person, they have different personalities. If you disagree, or if you have any other thinking process that you think can help me out, please leave a comment, and I'll be glad to have a conversation with you. Thanks for watching. Have a nice one.